wanted to give you guys a quick look at one of my trimming setups that I use for my 308 brass here. I trim my 308 brass on my Lee Classic Turret Press. I use the Lee Quick Trim die. This die, I want to say, runs you anywhere between $12 to $18 depending on where you get it. The Lee Deluxe Power Quick Trim. Last time I checked, I want to say the price on this was right around 25 bucks if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking at one on Amazon right now for, how much is it? Yeah, about $25, $26. So pretty inexpensive setup. Of course, you are going to need your drill here. If you don't have a drill, they do make the another one with the little handle that you can turn by hand, which is also a very viable option. I have the drill, so I went with the power trim. Saves my hand and my wrist and my arm a little bit here. But anyway, that's the only two pieces you really need to make this work. You should have a press by now. You should have a shell holder from your reloading dies. You may want to get a spare turret. I keep all my single process dies on a separate turret than my reloading dies. Just so I don't have to take dies off, reset them up. Everything here is already set up the way you see it. So I just have to slap the turret on, put the shell plate on, and it's ready to go. One thing I will say about doing this is you do need to remove the rod that turns the turret, because you don't want it to turn on you. You want it to stay on that one die the entire time. But anyway, I'll start talking. I'll start running a couple of cases through here so you guys can see what's involved. I'll take my brass here. This brass has been resized already. I know somebody asked last night on one of the other discussions, should I resize or should I trim my brass first? Always resize your brass first, because when you resize it, it actually grows a little bit. It gets pushed down into its original dimensions, which ends up pushing some of that brass that has been stretched out a little bit further forward. So always resize first, then trim it back down to size. So all this brass that I'm going to be trimming right now has already been resized. I'll bring the brass all the way up till it stops. I will run the drill for about 5 seconds. I'll bring the brass back down. I'll turn it about 180 degrees. I'll run it up again. And it's done. The reason I turn my brass up 180 degrees, I saw this on somebody else's video, so I won't take credit for it, is to make sure I get a nice square edge across the top there. And ever since I started doing it, I did notice a little bit of a difference, so I am going to continue doing it. One thing I want to mention too, though, this trim setup is one of the few setups out there that will trim your brass, but at the same time, it will chamfer and deburr the case mouth. I run the Little Crow Gunworks trimmer for my bulk 223 stuff. It's a lot faster, but it does not chamfer and deburr. This one, because of the way it's set up, you will notice it's got the cutters here. It's got 4 cutters all the way around, and then it's got this little setup right here that's a very thin metal, almost sheet metal, and it goes on the inside of the case mouth, and then this one goes on the outside of the case mouth, and that will take that sharp edge off of it. So although it's not the fastest setup, I do love that it eliminates me having to go through that process with my brass additionally. So guys, it's inexpensive, it's fairly quick. And I will say it is very consistent. I trim my 308 brass to 2.005 inches. I've measured almost just about every single piece of brass that's come through here, and it has always been within 0.002 of my target trim length. So it's to the point now where I have a lot of confidence in this setup, where I don't have to measure everything anymore. But I do try to measure every 5th or 10th case from time to time. But hope that helps.